One nuclear weapon.
On the program for this episode, our focus is on Nigeria's recent engagements and cooperations with other countries, all in an effort to accelerate developments in all ramifications and sustaining its economy. Also on the program, Nigerians in Senegal deepened their diplomatic ties after 60 years of mutual cooperation with the country. Plus, our correspondent takes a look at the International Day of the Girl Child. I am Patricia A. Samiluba, welcoming you to Global Update, the program that brings you up to speed with developments from around the globe in the course of the week under review. Member states of the Gulf of Guinea Commission have been tasked to urgently galvanize action against the danger and threat affecting maritime security in the region. President Muhammadu Buhari threw the challenge at the virtual summit of the heads of state and government of the Gulf of Guinea.
The Gulf of Guinea Commission has, amongst other objectives, creating conditions of mutual confidence towards defending the common interests of member states, as well as promoting peace and socio-economic development on the basis of dialogue, consensus, ties of friendship, solidarity, and fraternity. This summit was convened by President Muhammadu Buhari as outgoing chairman of the heads of state and government of the Gulf of Guinea member states to review progress made in their efforts to deal appropriately with maritime challenges in the region.
Nigeria considers the effective functioning of the Gulf of Guinea Commission as strategic to the collective security interests in the Gulf region, particularly in addressing issues such as piracy, proliferation of small arms and light weapons, protection of marine resources, as well as irregular migration to the region.
The federal government, the president said, has championed several efforts towards fighting maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea.
Nigeria has continued to deploy significant resources towards tackling piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. Through the Deep Blue Project, in June 2021, the government of Nigeria unveiled $195 million United States dollars worth of boats, vehicles, and aircraft to spearhead the country's fight against piracy in the Gulf of Guinea.
President Buhari, however, identified the COVID-19 pandemic and its attendant negative impact on the activities of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, as well as inadequate cash flow, as major challenges that confronted efforts at fighting maritime insecurity in 2020 and early 2021.
What we need now is to work more than ever towards the revitalization of the organization with a view to synergizing for more effective results towards fighting maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea Commission region.
The president told participants that a summit will be the last he will be attending as head of state, but made a case for member states to remit their outstanding annual contributions to the Gulf of Guinea Commission Secretariat to assist the Commission in fulfilling its mandate. President Nana Akufo-Addo of the Republic of Ghana emerged the new chairman, heads of state and government of the Gulf of Guinea region at the end of the summit.
General Muhammad Idris Deby Itno is formally inaugurated as the president of the transition government and head of state of the Republic of Chad. This followed the extension of the country's transition period to democratic governance to 2 years by the National Sovereign Inclusive Dialogue, otherwise referred to as Forum for National Reconciliation. President Muhammadu Buhari was the special guest of honor at the event.
The January 15 conference hall in the heart of N'Djamena was filled to capacity as the 38-year-old General Muhammad Idris Deby takes oath as head of state and president of the Chadian transition government. A broad consensus by participants at the just concluded National Sovereign Inclusive Dialogue agreed that General Muhammad Idris Deby Itno presides over the affairs of the country for a transition period of 24 months as head of state and is also eligible to run for presidency when elections are held. At the colorful, historic and significant event, President Muhammad Idris Deby thanked the people of Chad for the renewed confidence in his leadership and promised not to let them down. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama speaks more on the promises made by the new Chadian leader.
He's promised an inclusive transition period, inclusive of the youth, of women, and the generality of Chadians. He's promised to deliver on time elections to the country. Then, of course, he's also promised a lot of economic benefits, and also to bring the Chadians together. And he talked about a new Chad that they want to see, and that the importance of exploiting the wealth of that country together for the benefit of the country.
One thing that cannot be ignored at the inauguration ceremony was the standing ovation given to President Muhammadu Buhari by participants as General Muhammad Idris Deby expresses sincere appreciation for the significant show of support and solidarity by the Nigerian leader.
He said Nigeria has been a very loyal friend that has really stood by Chad, without which Chad, he felt, would not have come so far.
It is important for the country that this powerful neighbor, Nigeria, stands with them at a moment when they are making this important decision to begin the process towards a democratic government.
But what informed President Muhammadu Buhari's decision to personally grace the occasion, despite the seeming lack of support and endorsement yet by the international community of the new transition arrangement in Chad?
President Muhammadu Buhari wants to send a very important, a very powerful message to the international community that peace, security, and stability in Chad are important, not only to Chad as a country, but to all of us, their neighbors, and the membership of the Lake Chad Basin countries. Without peace in Chad, there will be no peace in Nigeria, there will be no peace in the sub-region. And two, also, to indicate support of his administration and of the people and the government of Nigeria to the roadmap that the Chadians themselves have put together, that they wish to implement, that would hopefully lead to a transition to a democratic rule after all of these years of military dictatorship.
General Muhammad Idris Deby came to power in April last year following the death of his father, President Idris Deby Itno, after a 30-year reign in the vast Central African country.
Let's take a break now. We'll return shortly. Africa and EU have shared history and interest that binds both regions together, and that resulted to Africa-EU partnership towards strengthening frameworks for more mutually beneficial outcomes and common goals. Nigeria's ambassador, Nicholas Ella, further comments on the multi-agency meeting.
The essence of the meeting is to exchange information on the way we do our note verbal and visa processing with their various missions, and we have been able to exchange views regarding the issues of delay and how they can assist to ensure that visas are processed on time and on record time. We have had fantastic negotiation with the EU on migration management, and that has been on since July. We had 2 days of meeting in July 7th and 8th. And of course, the EU came back to Nigeria again on the 14th, 15th, and 16th, and we had very, very tremendous negotiation process, and we have concluded our consideration of the text. We want to meet again to review what we have agreed upon, and then we will go forward in terms of migration management with the EU. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is trying to automate its note verbal process, and we want to go into a digitalization process, which will ease the bottleneck we are having at the moment.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's ambassador to Egypt, Noura Abba Rimi, has revealed that the federal government's diversification agenda is gaining momentum across Africa.
It is a government-to-business and business-to-business session. From talk to work, it is a handshake that hopes to revolutionize construction in Nigeria.
We have hills, we have rivers. I'm sure you can make wonders in Abuja.
Tariq El Gamal and Ahmed Afifi are 2 of 3 famous men turning the desert in Cairo into smart cities. Construction is the main game for both, while agriculture is sidekick for Afifi. This is the attraction for Nigeria, says Ibrahim El Yakub, Minister of State Works and Housing.
Partnering with Egyptians who can not only invest in Nigeria, but you can actually go and get land and produce on that land and bring it to Egypt and to other places.
I think it's very good, you know, inshallah.
Just like Ahmed Afifi in Egypt, Adewumi Osagi is building a smart city in Lagos, Nigeria. And her visit to Egypt, like other countries around the world, is to see and make a difference.
The last 2-3 months, we've been able to attract an investment from the Middle East to the tune of $36 billion.
In all, organizers of the conference say it was a success.
A lot of people will start coming to Nigeria, and a lot of Nigerians will start coming to Egypt.
Here are more reports that made headlines in the course of the week.
In Mali, an explosion killed at least 9 people on a bus in central Mali on Thursday, a region regularly rocked by jihadist violence, according to police and local sources. The bus was struck by a blast on the road between Bandiagara and Gondaka in the Mopti. A police officer who spoke on condition of anonymity gave a provisional toll of 10 dead and many seriously injured. Mali is struggling with a long jihadist insurgency that has claimed thousands of lives and forced hundreds of thousands from their homes. A report by the UN mission in Mali found that as of August 31, mines and IEDs had caused 72 deaths. Most of the victims are soldiers, but a quarter are civilians. Lebanon approved a U.S.-brokered maritime border deal with Israel on Thursday. President Michel Aoun announced unlocking significant offshore gas production for the Eastern Mediterranean neighbors. It comes after Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid on Wednesday said the agreement would make conflict with Lebanon's Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah less likely. Aoun described the deal as a historic achievement, adding that Lebanon was able to recover a disputed area of 860 square kilometers. The agreement between the countries that have remained technically at war since Israel's creation in 1948 was earlier applauded by world leaders, including U.S. President Joe Biden. The deal had faced hurdles, with a major source of friction being the Karish gas field, which Israel insisted fell entirely within its waters and was not a subject of negotiation. Lebanon reportedly claimed part of the field, and Hezbollah, which holds huge sway in Lebanon, threatened attacks if Israel began production at Karish. But Hezbollah said on Tuesday it will back the agreement if the Lebanese government officially endorsed it. In Mali, an explosion killed at least 9 people on a bus in central Mali on Thursday, a region regularly rocked by jihadist violence, according to police and local sources. The bus was struck by a blast on the road between Bandiagara and Gondaka in the Mopti. A police officer who spoke on condition of anonymity gave a provisional toll of 10 dead and many seriously injured. Mali is struggling with a long jihadist insurgency that has claimed thousands of lives and forced hundreds of thousands from their homes. A report by the UN mission in Mali found that as of August 31, mines and IEDs had caused 72 deaths. Most of the victims are soldiers, but a quarter are civilians.
Nigeria, as other nations around the world, marked the 2022 International Day for the Girl Child, with government at all levels calling for domestication and starting of full implementation of the Child Rights Act.
The International Day of Girl Child is celebrated annually to draw the attention of the public to the challenges facing girls with a view to finding solutions that will enable them to achieve their full potentials. As part of the celebration, She Forum Africa and other partners organized a program called Voice of the Girl Parliament, where selected guests, who were mostly teenagers from different schools across the FCT, came together to deliberate on issues that borders on girls' rights, sexual molestation, the need to speak against rape and rapists, gender-based violence, and any other form of gender discrimination. The Speaker of the Voice of Girls Parliament, Prince Sam, stressed the need to avoid any conspiracy of silence from any quarter.
We can't just marry our daughters out because we feel we don't have the resources to train them. Hey, if you didn't have the resources to train this girl, you shouldn't have birthed her in the first place.
Stakeholders at the event say it is time to stop every form of stigmatization and create equal opportunities for all.
All the issues that we typically advocate around girl child. They've talked about early child marriage, which is still a major situation in Nigeria. They've talked about increased access to education. They've talked about healthcare. They have talked about being more involved and prioritizing STEM education for girls.
We are calling on people, all of us, to continue to speak out, for the girls to be allowed to study, for the girls to be allowed to live to their full potentials.
So I would like to call on Nigerians and individuals that are buoyant, that can help in helping the girl child in Nigeria.
We are hoping that we can advocate for better voices to reduce the stigma that is attached to menstruation, because there's a big stigma already in our...
The United Nations General Assembly of December 19, 2011 adopted a resolution to declare October 11 as International Day of the Girl Child to recognize the rights of the girl child.
Nigeria's 62 years of journey to nationhood could have not been possible without diplomatic relations with other countries in promoting socio-economic and political developments. Nigeria's embassy in Senegal celebrated her 60 years of diplomatic ties with Nigeria in that country, just as Nigeria is celebrating its 62th independence anniversary.
60 years of diplomatic tie with the host country. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyama, virtually joined to express Nigeria's appreciation of Senegal's support in these 6 decades.
The bilateral engagements between the two countries cut across many sectors, notably the close working relationship between our two presidents, which have led the way in addressing regional issues. especially the recent ECOWAS institutional reforms. Nigeria and Senegal are also collaborating on security-related matters
to continue to share values, interests, and aspirations.
Je salue particulièrement le leadership du président Buhari.
We want to virtually appreciate and commend the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, for his steadfastness in stabilizing Nigeria in terms of governance and his approach in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic that African countries similarly handled without levity, and Africa has learned a lot from that experience. Host and the Nigerian ambassador to Senegal, Adamu Ibrahim Lamawa's message expressed how cordial a relationship between both countries is.
I'm happy to state that Nigeria and Senegal relations are supported by a strong foundation bound by history and shared interests. Our two countries have long worked together, both bilaterally and multilaterally. Within the last 60 years of our diplomatic relations, our partnership has intensified through all sectors and high-level visits.
The two countries are optimistic of better days as they continue to renew their commitments for mutually beneficial relationship.
That concludes the program Global Update. Hope to come your way next time with another episode. I am Patricia A. Semiluba. Let's unite to make the world a better place for the sake of humanity.